Hey guys, V here, and I know it's been quite a while since I've filmed or done one of the videos in this series. Rather, I'll be honest with you, once I got into watching Game of Thrones again, I got hooked, and then I got my husband hooked on it again, and we just started watching it like non-stop together after like late at night when we were done everything, and it got to the point where we literally had to pace ourselves because we got to season 7, the last few episodes within like a week, and this was like middle of March. So we had to really pace ourselves and do like one episode a week. But we finally got to like the last couple episodes, and right now it is, while I'm filming this, it's April 9th, which means the new season of Game of Thrones will be here on Sunday, which is what, the 14th. So I thought I'm gonna try to post this either tomorrow or the next day, but certainly well before the premiere starts, and I'm gonna let you guys know. So my plan for the new season is that I will actually film myself watching and reacting to it live, because we're gonna be watching it that night. I cannot like watch it on DVR or anything because I have to see it. It's just I've been waiting for so long. And I'm going to try to edit it and upload it either that same night or the following day. And then we're gonna do like spoiler recap and just spoiler discussion and all my thoughts on that, because there's no way to really do it without talking about spoilers. So definitely if you guys watch it live like I will, you can tune into my discussion about it, and we can go from there. I think I'll probably start out doing like a non-spoiler recap and all that, but and my thoughts on it, and then really dive into it, because I really just prefer to kind of get into the meat of it and discuss it all without having to worry about people who don't want to hear spoilers. My thoughts on this series as a whole, clearly I love it. And watching it the second time around, I appreciate it a lot more. I've said this before, but I just really understand and again appreciate the process that the producers and the writers really went through and just building each of the characters and building the story as a whole, and really wrapping it up and making everything kind of connect and weave it all together. It just works so well, and I really didn't appreciate that the first time around. I just loved the story and the characters, but then now I can't stress that word enough, but I appreciate it so much more now, and I love it honestly even more than the first time I watched it. So it's just such an amazing series, and I've been really like pumping myself up, hyping myself up, because HBO has been releasing a lot of the commentary and behind the scenes stuff, little tidbits and all that. And it's just nice to watch it. Like I love watching behind the scenes videos in general. So it's just nice seeing like all how the visual effects happen and the stunts and all that. It's just really so interesting to get a glimpse into all that. And then just to hear the actors talk about their time over the years on set and being involved in this series, and it's just fun. So where we're at the very end of season 7, I'm about to watch episode 7, The Dragon and the Wolf, which is obviously talking about Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. I really loved, although, I guess they could have used a bit more build up. Obviously they had to speed things along, so their relationship wasn't as, their, love and relationship wasn't as built and wasn't as developed as maybe some people would like. But honestly, given the time frame and the circumstances that they're in, I can understand that. And even him and Ygritte, they fell in love very quickly, and that's just kind of like par for the course with this series, you know, or like people just or even like Rob and his wife, Talisa, I think it was, like, you know, you just really attracted to each other and you fall in love and then that's it. The kind of, you know, it's not like a year-long kind of courtship. So that's just kind of what you get. And I don't know, I really like them together. You can feel like the looks that they give each other. It's just, I think I'm just gonna go right into it, and then kind of like when things like pop up, I'll talk about it, because like I said, it's been a few weeks since I've watched Game of Thrones in general, and the last episode before this, because we were really pacing ourselves, and so obviously there's a lot to cover, but in terms of how I feel about things, and once I see each scene, it kind of just like brings it back up. So this episode actually is like, oh yeah, when they return from beyond the wall, Jon Snow and his team of guys, like the motley crew. You've got Tormund, the Wildling, and the Hound is there, and the guys from the Brotherhood were trying to capture one of the whites to bring back to serve as proof for Cersei that these guys do exist, and we need to do something about it. So that scene was so devastating when Daenerys lost Viserion. I'm just gutted. Like, I'm pretty sure one more dragon's gonna die. You know, there's gonna be tons and tons of death in this new season, but yeah, it was just, I hate it, honestly, when any of the animals die, because I just, like, there's only, like, well, Nymeria's gone, but then, you know, there's only one direwolf left now, and I don't even see Ghost anymore, so hopefully he plays a bigger role in the new season, although maybe not so much, because then he might die, so, but yeah, so they are, you know, Jon Snow and Daenerys and all of them are heading to King's Landing to meet with Cersei and kind of work on a truce so they can all join together and fight the Night King. I loved the scene when they're in the dragon pit together, because it's just all of the characters that you love joined together and just being on stage for the, like, some of them honestly for the first time in the whole series. And it's just, I remember watching this for the first time and thinking it was so amazing and just so like, it gives you all the feels, because it's like, oh, everybody's together. But yeah, it was pretty awesome, you know, especially like seeing Daenerys and Cersei kind of just interacting with each other, two very powerful female leads, but completely different too, and having them come together and seeing them interact was so fun. I loved, like, right here at the beginning, what is it? Daenerys's Unsullied army is right there in front of the castle, and then you've got the Dothraki coming in afterwards, and really just Daenerys asserting her power and just showing, like, you know, you want to see my army? I'll show you my army. I'll show you what I got, you know. And then we've got Jon and Tyrion and the rest of the gang coming in on a boat, and they all walk in first, and it's so funny, because when I was watching one of the one of the featurettes, and then Peter Dinklage was talking about his character and his how he Tyrion throughout the years and all that, and he made a point that he's one of the very few, or maybe possibly the only character that's really got to work with the whole gamut of characters. You know, I can't even think of one character that he has not interacted with, and I think I never noticed that before, and I think that's so awesome, and it just shows like how awesome of a character he is in general. You know, just, I love reunions, and it was just nice, like, seeing him interact with Bronn again, and then when he saw Podrick, and just reunions in general, honestly, when Jaime sees Brienne again, and you know, the Hound sees his brother, or what's left of his brother. And yeah, it's just, you know, like I said, just some of these characters who haven't seen each other for years, or who haven't seen each other at all, just seeing them interact, it's what we've been waiting for, you know. I have to say, like, I'm just so anxious about the new season, and I'm just thinking, like, you know, like, my favorite characters, Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion, I feel like one of them, two of them, all of them are gonna die, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like, if we end up with just Cersei being left and some of these other characters like Sansa and Arya and stuff, I'm like, no. I feel like Jaime's gonna die too. They're all gonna die.
I've been sent to escort you all to the meeting.
Oh yeah, that's funny that Brienne and the Hound meet each other again, especially, you know, after she thought that he was dead, and like they had that epic battle. So I think it was very interesting when they had their little conversation as they're walking to the dragon pit, and they talk about Arya and how like she's safe back at Winterfell, and you can tell that they both like genuinely care about her, especially the Hound. Their whole relationship is just, it's interesting, and it was fun when I was watching again the featurette with the actors, and they were just saying how like the Hounds, Rory was saying he just really loved their whole dynamic and their whole story arc and all that, so it's fun.
Fuck off.
It was just funny too when he was doing his interview, and he was saying that as much as he loves playing the Hound and he's loved his time on Game of Thrones, he's happy that he won't have to walk around with like half, like not half, but like a quarter of his beard missing, because he'd have to always shave it off for his role. And I thought that was so funny and so true, because he shows you like how it looks like it's just this whole part that's missing, and the rest of his beard is there, and it's just so funny. I definitely loved when Daenerys made her grand entrance. You know, she shows off her dragons, and you know, she's fashionably late and all that, and so I thought that was very clever on her side to kind of just show her hand and all that. Although I don't know, I mean, I guess it's good to just like, because all of the people at King's Landing and Cersei and them were really wondering just how strong and how much of an army she has, and so she really like puts it out there. Although I don't know if it's always 100% clever to, or a good idea to show everything you've got, so I don't know. I guess it's good on her part that she's just like, you know what, we need to just put all that aside and focus on the bigger picture, so I'm just gonna lay it out all there for you. So yeah, another one of my favorite scenes in this episode was when the White does come out later on, and you can see like Cersei visibly shook about it, like how it gets so close to her face, and you can see it on like Lena Headey played that so well, like the fear and all that, and you never see Cersei rattled, but the fear was very apparent there, and I loved that. It would have been so crazy, like I think she would have really showed that she was dead if she did not have any reaction to it all, and I thought that was really good. I think that would have been really crazy if like, you know, they're all walking into the middle of the dragon pit and on top of the little stadium, or yeah, stadium thing that they have, podium thing that they have going on there, and it would have been really crazy if Cersei had like sent her army out to just like try to murder everybody. I mean, obviously her army right now is nothing compared to Daenerys's, but it would have certainly been one hell of a try. It's gonna be crazy just seeing if her the Golden Company, I think it is, the new army that she hires, how big of an army they are, to see if it's that much of a if it's gonna be a problem for Daenerys and her army later on. I miss Cersei's long hair. I mean, like, I know this is like the new her and it's supposed to be darker and just totally different and not as like ladylike, but like, damn, she looks so much better with the longer hair. I'm not a fan of Euron Greyjoy at all. He's an ass. I wonder if the Mountain is gonna play that big of a role, because I mean, I know he's supposed to be all big and scary, but I really have not seen him do much. So he's kind of just like there looming in the background, but he doesn't really serve that much of a purpose for me. What is it? Sajora, his whole thing, like when he had the grayscale and he was up in the Citadel, and then Samwell managed to cure him of it. That whole scene was like so painful, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad for him, even though it's totally fake and all, but like still, him as the character having to get all that taken off. And I thought it was really nice of Sam to actually do that for him, to really try. And it just it made me appreciate the Lord Commander much more, because he left such a mark on Jon and Sam, and he was such a great leader. It was a terrible way for him to die, but yeah, it's just, I like those characters a lot. I love how like Cersei's not even impressed with the dragon. She's like, whatever, this girl made me wait. I have to say, they come up with some of the best little speeches or lines for Tyrion, especially that one that ended up winning him an Emmy, I think it was, or an Oscar. Oh, that one speech when he was on trial was hands down one of my favorite parts of Game of Thrones in general. Like, love Tyrion. Peter Dinklage is an amazing actor in the way he portrayed him. You know what I'm wondering is, does Tyrion like feel bad about Viserion being dead, because it was his idea really to like find to get one of the whites. And I like, obviously it's not his fault, but you know, if his plan didn't, I feel like that too. Like if his plan didn't work out and like Cersei didn't decide to work with them, then all that would have been for nothing. And so I think that's one of the driving forces that pushes him to go talk to Cersei after this and try to work it out with her and try to persuade her, because, you know, Daenerys ended up losing a dragon, and this thing is just so dire and so important that, you know, he really needs to make sure that his plan works. Oh my god, I hated the Hound so much when they were beyond the wall and trying to find the whites and all that, because like he was pretty useless at the beginning when the fire, I think like the polar bear scene happened and he was like on fire and he didn't fight back. And then the I guess he's kind of like the Red Priest of the Brotherhood, that guy, I forget what his name is, but he ended up saving him and he ended up dying later on. And then when all the guys were like in the middle of that frozen lake, and he made the mistake of throwing the rock at one of the whites and showing that they could like walk on the ice and stuff. If he had just held his chill a little bit longer, then they would have known that they could walk on the ice. I thought it was funny here when Cersei told Jon that, oh, you have to be neutral about this. After, you know, the fight with the Night King, then you can't take part of this other fight that's going on. And he's like, nah, I gotta be honest with you, I already pledged my allegiance to Daenerys. And everybody's like, no, don't tell her, you gotta lie. Even Daenerys is like, yo, you should have lied. But you know, Jon, he's honest to a fault. And oh my, yeah, he's just like Ned, honest and noble and all that to a fault, and that will be the death of him. I loved when she decided to choose him as her hand. She actually respects him and his advice and his counsel and all that. Daenerys and Tyrion. I mean, he doesn't always give the best, or, you know, I guess best advice. Obviously, like no one's 100% perfect, but he definitely has a lot of logic, and I like that she takes his advice into consideration So he finally has the respect that he deserves, because he deserves so much respect. I think from day one of this show, he has been the only character that I've loved, like, throughout the whole thing. And really every decision that he makes, even if it's like detrimental to him or whatever, it's always, I stand by him 100%. He is like the best. You know what's interesting is that when Lena Headey was doing, or Lena was doing her featurette about one of her favorite scenes, she talks about the scene that her and, well, with Cersei and Robert, when they had that discussion in his room about their marriage and all that, and they had that really like long and intense discussion. It was, and I said how that was like one of my favorite scenes. She mentions that that's like one of her all-time favorite scenes too, and I thought that was really thought that was just interesting. I love it. I love when like Tyrion taunts Cersei so much here, and yet she doesn't kill him. I don't know if that's like part of a bigger plan, or like really she can't, as much as she hates Tyrion, she doesn't want to kill a member of her family. The only thing I've ever given Cersei credit for was her love for her kids, even if it was a bad kind of love. But like, I thought it was interesting that Cersei mentions here how when the White was coming at her, all she thought about was herself and her family and preserving, you know, like her and Jaime and her kid. And I'm just like, if all you care about is yourself and you have no care about this kingdom and all, then why don't you just run away? Like, go and raise your kids somewhere else, like go to Essos or something, or Old City or what have you, just away, and just live your life with your child and let them grow up and you know, grow old and all that. But I feel like as much as she loves her kids and her family, she loves power more, and it just blinds her, and so she just can't, that's all she ever cares about. I do wonder if that witch lady was lying, how, in saying that how Daenerys can't have kids and all that, and if, you know, once her and Jon have that night together, if she gets pregnant and stuff, I don't know how their relationship is going to play out. Like, he just might feel some type of way because they're related and then not want to continue their relationship. Or she might be worried that since he is Rhaegar's son, that he's a threat to her in terms of being the heir to the throne and all that. And I don't know, so many different ways that it could go. And I'm just like, I hope that they work it out. And I hope that Jon looks past the whole, if they do survive, really, that he looks past the fact that they're related, you know, and just think about what they've been through. And then they can try to work it out. Because, you know, he doesn't want to be king. And he's happier in the North. Like, she can rule King's Landing and rule over the whole, you know, Westeros. And he can just be happy in Winterfell, or I don't know. I feel like Winterfell would just end up going back to Sansa, and he'll end up dying or something. And then she will still be alive but pregnant. One of the highlights of this episode was definitely when Baelish dies. He has definitely been one of the most hated characters, and I hate how he subtly just interjects himself into every little thing. Him and his scheming and his planning, all for what? Just because he was a homely boy from a nowhere town and he just wanted to make something of himself and just jealous of everybody else in their houses and all that, you know? Just because he was like so selfish and so greedy. He's the one that really started it all. I thought it was crazy when we find out that he's the one that killed Jon Arryn, and you know, because of that, that's why Ned had to go to King's Landing to be the King's Hand. So many deaths because of him. probably my only problem with this scene and the whole Sansa Arya thing is they never really showed us what happened like behind the scenes. You know, they showed us Arya following Littlefinger and discovering the scroll that Sansa had wrote to tell the Starks to bend the knee to the Lannisters and all that. You see Littlefinger and you see the producers really creating this whole trouble and this whole drama between the sisters, but then you don't see them like even afterwards while Sansa is laying out all of the stuff that Littlefinger does, and really you can see his end is right there. You don't see them like having like flashbacks of them, the two sisters talking to each other, or even talking with, you know, both of them talking with Bran and realizing that Littlefinger is behind it all and all that. Like you don't see that, and I wish that we had, you know, just to have the sisters connect better and just see how their relationship has changed and how they have grown to trust each other and all that. So I wish that we had got a glimpse of that at least. Poor Ser Jorah. He knows that he's lost her yet again to another guy. I did not care for this scene. This is when what's his name? Oh my god, I cannot remember his name. Reek, but also Theon. Oh my god, I could. Okay, yeah. This is when Theon is talking to Jon and just saying how like you're just like your dad, and I wish that I was like him, and just saying all that, and I'm just like, I don't really care for his story like at all. And then like later on he fights some of the other Ironborns, and then they try to go rescue Yara and all that, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, hopefully it'll mean something, and then maybe he tries to go, he discovers like Theon's not Theon's but Euron's like subplot, and him trying to find the Golden Company, and then he warns Daenerys. I mean, I think that's kind of what they're going toward, since he chases after him and all that. But other than that, I'm like, he's been pretty useless throughout it all, and he's not as key of a player as they're trying to push him into being. So I don't really care for his part in all of that. I kind of wish that his death was dragged on a little bit more, because he deserved so much more than just a slit to the neck. Like, I've never really been a fan of Bran and everything that happened. And when Hodor died, that was an amazing episode or like scene and all that. And I loved it in a bad way though. But yeah, like I think if it was a few episodes ago when I forget what that girl's name is, but she ends up leaving because she has to go back home, and he just like brushes it off, and she's like, really, you don't care that I'm leaving? And he's like I'm not supposed to care because I'm the three-eyed raven. And she's like, yeah, Bran like died up like beyond the wall, and it's true, you know, like he's basically telling everybody that he's not Bran anymore, he's the three-eyed raven. So that's kind of sucky, and he's just like emotionless face. I'm so happy that Jaime sees the bigger picture, and as many times as he's stood by Cersei and I've hated him for it, but like I understand because he loves her and all that, he finally realizes that, you know, he has a greater purpose, and there are things that are more important than her and her power. So I love that he, you know, that he wants to fight. Lena seriously has that eyebrow thing going on, like, hard. Like, they picked the perfect actress for her, because her facial expressions, on point. I know that she wouldn't kill Jaime, but I'm surprised she didn't, like, just take him and just, like, lock him in the dungeon or whatever to prevent him from going. So, yeah. Sam finally arrives at Winterfell. And then him and Bran have this whole conversation about Jon. I thought it was funny. when Bran was like, "Oh yeah, John's coming back," and blah blah blah, and Sam's like, "Oh, you saw that in your vision?" He's like, shows him the scroll. Even when he's like as emotionless and dead as, you know, the Three-Eyed Raven is, like, he still tries to be a little funny, which honestly I don't get, because the old guy who was the original Three-Eyed Raven, he looked like he still had some emotion and stuff going on. Like, he seemed normal, and yet Bran just seems like a robot. So, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, maybe it could be because he had to download, I guess, so much material, and so it's just like him, like having emotions and stuff is just too much for him. But like, I don't know, it's weird. I think it's pretty ballsy that Jon actually went for it. You know, you wouldn't have expected him to try to go for it with Daenerys, but hey, he did change a lot after he died, so man knows what he wants. Oh yeah, when she said that his name was Aegon, I was like, no, they could have chose a better name, because I like Rhaegar or even like Viserys, but like Aegon, his name's Aegon Targaryen. I'm like, ugh, egg, which is funny because the what is it, the Maester up at Castle Black, like, he used to call his brother Egg. It just comes full circle. I like Jon Snow better. A lot of people were saying, like, when Tyrion's like standing there, like watching the door, and he knows what's happening, like, they're like, oh, maybe Tyrion's in love with Daenerys or whatever. But the way that I see it is that I feel like he knows that this is a bad idea, because, you know, when it comes to politics and war and partnerships, it gets so muddied and so messed up when you put emotions and love and all that into it. And I mean, yeah, if it works out, great, but the chances of it working out is slim to none. And then when it doesn't work out, it's bad, because that's, you know, how wars start, or treachery happens, and all that. And it's just, I feel like his wheels are spinning, and he's just thinking this more likely than not will end in a bad way, and people are going to get hurt, or people will die because of it, and who knows how the alliance will come out, and just so many things can go wrong if you know, Daenerys and Jon don't work out, or if just their whole relationship is just muddied with all the emotions. That's the way that I see it. I mean, who knows if I'm right or not, but like, I just feel like he sees it in more in terms of politics and what happens in the future with Daenerys and her ruling and all that, than anything to do with him actually like liking her. I love getting glimpses of Tormund. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. I love him and his whole reaction to Brienne. Like, I used to really like the idea of Brienne and Jaime together, and I can obviously tell that she has feelings for him. But I would love Tormund and Brienne together. I think that's so funny. Like, she is so proper and like all about just being not noble, but like, you know, she's a bit uptight. Whereas he's a wildling, so I feel like they balance each other out very well. I can't imagine when the two dragons, or like 3 dragons, go head to head, you know, because it's an ice dragon versus the fire dragons. It's, oh my god, I feel like one more dragon is gonna die. It has. Probably Rhaegal is gonna die, and if she's lucky, she'll be left with Drogon. So, or maybe Drogon's gonna die. I don't know. Which kind of sucks. I'm just like, they're the last dragons, and it's gonna be sad all around. I remember them saying how they battled the Night King and the dead and all that before, but like, I forget when they were talking about, like, was the wall there already and they went beyond the wall and fought them, or like they drove them back and then they built the wall up. So I don't know. That's gonna be a scene to see when Tormund tells Daenerys and Jon and them that the Night King brought back the dragon. God, I was gonna like probably gut her again. Like, how dare you use my baby against me? Oh, I thought it was funny when all of the Night Watch guys were running down those stairs, because I'm like, oh, that's a lot of stairs to go down. You guys ain't gonna make it. And then I was also mentioning to my husband, I was like, I feel bad for the dragons because they make them do a lot of work, like Daenerys and even like the Night King. Like, I know that breathing fire for them is natural and, you know, and all that, but like, they make them do all the dirty work. I can't imagine how intense the battle will be, and just like when they film it, I hope that they have the commentary afterwards. I think they're releasing like a special edition of it after the season, after the show ends, like a collector's edition or something like that, and they talk about like behind the scenes, and I'm pretty sure it's some kind of documentary that they do, and so it'll be interesting to see how you know, behind the scenes of the big battle and all that. So I am so excited. Like, Sunday cannot come here soon enough. Although honestly, like, I wish it was like Netflix where it would release all the episodes, even though like binging is good in a sense that you get to watch it all at once, but then also when it's over, you're like dead. So it's just like, it's gonna be torture waiting each week for it to come out. But like, it's gonna be so sad when it's over. I love listening to commentary like this because I wouldn't notice certain things without them actually pointing that out, like the camera work that they have to do to kind of get the shots and the looks of each of the characters and how they play off of each other. I think that's so, like, it's just a testament to how amazing this show is all around. Anyways, I am just so super excited about the new season, like I've been saying, and I cannot wait to see what they come up with. And I'm sure you guys all know that they're playing off of like their own imagination, because the ending was never really written out by the author, and so they're just playing it how they want it to play. But so I have faith that they will do it justice, even if we end up with a lot of dead characters and we end up brokenhearted. I feel like it'll be in a way that is just right. So I'm just super pumped, and yeah, I think that's it for me today, guys. And I'm looking forward to actually watching the new season with you guys and commentating all that, and just having a nice discussion. So I hope you guys join me for that, and we can experience this wonder that is Game of Thrones together. So that's it for me. I will see you guys next time. Season 8 premiere. All right, bye.